Game day on the Real Kipper and Bourne Show. We're live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, and Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver. Across all Sportsnet platforms, Sportsnet Plus. Nick Kiprios, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Jake the Snake Schultz, Derek Brandale as we get ready for puck drop. 8 p.m., 7:30 pregame on Sportsnet and CBC. And boys, it is tough to read based on, I think, the resilience of the Edmonton Oilers, what we've seen all playoff. There's a lot of reasons why you would say this will be the last game, but then there's always the 97-29 factor.
I'm telling you, like, every piece of analysis I can do is like, all right, Florida is a better team. Florida's going to win. Florida, whatever. But the second strongest thing I believe is that the Oilers are never done. Like, you can never bet against the Oilers. We've done this back-to-back regular seasons. We've done it. They're down 3-0 in the final last year. You just can't count the Oilers out. So I think Florida has a massive upper hand, but it's the Oilers.
A failed clear away from being down 3-1 in the first round of the Los Angeles Kings.
Dead.
A bad challenge from being down 3-0.
Game 4 in this series.
Yeah.
You know, like they do not go down easy. So it's really tough to say, yeah, Florida in a walk. Who knows?
I think to a man, we all believe that Florida is the deepest team by far and away in the National Hockey League, right? So how much will depend on 97 scoring, maybe 1 or 2 goals, Leon, one or both of them having a big night here, because it's hard to imagine them not being far and away the best players on the ice. Is there anything left from that supporting cast here?
Well, I think if you're Florida, the one thing you have to do is say, just make everyone else beat us. It's like the basketball theory. We're just, okay, Steph Curry's not going to shoot. We don't care who else or what else. We're just not going to let them have that shot. They need to be all over those two guys and just say, go beat us with Matthias Janmark. Let it be someone else.
Most points per game when facing elimination with minimum 5 games played. The most all time is Connor McDavid with 1.64. And on that list as well is Leon Draisaitl at 1.36. So these two guys are extremely good in this situation.
On a list with Gretzky and Lemieux, they're ahead.
Yeah. And Ron Wilson.
And Ron Wilson.
So good on Ron Wilson for being there.
I got a great tweet here from someone I follow, Archeola guy. He's an Oilers former blogger. Says, I wanted to see how many goalies had playoff seasons with more than 10 games played and how everyone stacked up by save percentage. That's 147 goalies that had 10-plus games in a playoff season going back to the 05 lockout. 129th is Stu Skinner in 2024. 142nd is Stu Skinner in 2025. 145th is Pickard in 2025. And 146th is Skinner in 2023. So nearly the worst seasons possible. They haven't got that extra save. So to me, it's like those two guys we talk about may be awesome. Skinner's going to have to be better than really bad.
In a few minutes, we'll welcome in David Amber, studio host, Hockey Night in Canada, NHL on Sportsnet.
I mean, they're in this Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals, so it's really hard to be critical of the management team, but how do you not think about addressing this after what you saw last year with the up and down nature? I know you go to Game 7 or whatever, but it's just, if I'm an Oilers fan, that's what the biggest sort of, I don't know, where I have my crosshairs is not having a more viable option for the primes of Draisaitl and McDavid. I don't know.
For sure, bud.
All right,
for sure.
From Sunrise in Florida, let's welcome in David Amber. DA, how are you, buddy?
Hello.
So, I thought we'd catch you in a tank top, but a T-shirt works too. Like, how hot is it down there? And like, what's happening here in Sunrise with the heat?
Well, it's Africa hot. Gene Principe is out there. You ever see ever see the movie Something About Mary? And the neighbor likes to tan. And
We can recall.
He's just bathed himself in Crisco oil, has this aluminum foil sort of thing he's got holding over his head. So he'll be nice and crispy tonight for our broadcast.
Looking good.
As far as the start, how imperative is it that the Oilers don't melt in the first 5 or 10 minutes of this game?
I mean, I think it's everything. They've been outscored 7-0 in the first period of the last 3 games, and we saw firsthand in Game 5, guys. Like, if Florida has the lead, they're incredibly difficult to play against, and they dictate the tempo, and they play low event hockey when they need to, and they dictate the style of the game. And it's hard. It's hard to play against a team when you're chasing. Edmonton against Dallas, guys, in their 4 wins, they did not trail once. They forced Dallas on their heels. They made Dallas uncomfortable. And what we've witnessed in these Florida victories here in the Stanley Cup final is Edmonton's been chasing the game. And yes, they've had 8 comeback victories. And yes, they did come back, of course, in Game 4 in dramatic fashion after trailing 3-0. But certainly that's not a recipe to go out and win a Stanley Cup against a very good Florida team. So I think that first period's imperative. I think the Oilers would love to play with the lead. They have not scored in the first period of the last 3 games, and I'm sure that's something that they're going to talk about coming out of the gate strong and forcing maybe Florida to be a little uncomfortable and not play the style of game that they maybe would prefer to tonight.
DA, the Florida Panthers have scored 5+ goals 12 times in this Stanley Cup playoffs. The most it's ever been done in the playoffs is 13. I want to say one of my dad's Islanders teams did it, but it only happened twice before. You know, they kind of goes under the radar that they're a pretty good offensive team as well. You know, Stu Skinner's going to be back in net for the Oilers tonight. Should there be some focus on the Oilers' part of, okay, we need to defend better, or is it just let McDavid and Draisaitl go and win the way they like to win?
Well, I mean, I think that's one thing that's maybe been understated in this final, guys. This has been one of the most dominant performances we've ever witnessed in a Stanley Cup final. As far as they're one of the most prolific scoring teams ever. They're the highest scoring road team in NHL Stanley Cup history in one single playoff year. And not just the 12 games where they put up 5 goals, but 13 times they've won by multiple goals. 9 times their victories have been by at least 3 goals. I mean, they're lapping the field, and throw in on top, they've started every single series on the road against Tampa, against Toronto, against Carolina, and now against Edmonton. It's been, you know, if Florida wins tonight, I think as much as there's going to be sort of this shadow of disappointment surrounding the Oilers and, you know, the pursuit of that elusive Stanley Cup for Connor McDavid, there's going to be a lot of narratives that come out of this. One narrative that shouldn't, you know, we need to tell, and we shouldn't fail to give it its flowers, is just how good and dominant this performance has been start to finish by the Florida Panthers.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll follow it up with this narrative. If Florida finds a way to put this thing away, David, I'll start with you, and I'll get you guys to maybe chime in as well. But like, what is a bigger story? Like, Florida winning back-to-back, or Connor going 0 for 2?
I mean, I think because of the nature of the sport of hockey, it's got to be Florida winning back-to-back. I think they could be the 4th repeat champion in 40 years or something, 35 years or whatever it is. You know, it seems unfair